In the last 500 days, I've trained heartbroken, sick, lonesome, weirdly, despairing, tired, bored, frustrated, in pain, in love, in ecstasy, happiness, joys, all of these things, you know, every conceivable mood, toggling on this weird continuum between the worst and the best. And I don't know, I wanted to make a list of the 5 lessons I've learned in 500 days, because fives, and it seemed romantic somehow to do that. But it also seems unlike my channel. And I just wanted to hit record. I just wanted to hit record and start talking to you, you know? I know one thing that I learned over the last 500 days is I learned how to stop fighting, which might feel a little contradictory, you know? Like I've certainly had to strong arm myself into this 500-day streak. But I mean, I stopped fighting in other theaters of my life. I recognized that I couldn't get away from certain things, or that I couldn't win even if I did fight. I stopped bickering. I stopped negotiating with myself. I surrendered. Oh, and that's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to make a commitment to do this sort of austerity, and the number one thing you learn is surrender. You know, and I guess what that is in applying consistent and constant force in one area, I get a more reliable read on the fights I can win and the fights I can't. Um, it's not a peaceful or productive process, like self-discovery. I'm going to have to say that. I'm going to have to say this, that it's a path of self-discovery, even though that feels condescending and pretentious. But it's not peaceful. And you often don't get anywhere. It's not productive. I guess I meant that when I said it. I don't get along with myself. And I don't suspect you do either. I don't suspect anyone does. I think that that's an artifice, a play act, you know? Uh, I've learned to trust myself, not love myself. I do like myself, and I do think that's necessary and important, but I don't love myself. And I don't think that's necessary, you know? I suppose there are people out there that do love themselves, and hey, good for them. I don't, you know? And I don't think you have to either. But I do think you have to trust yourself. And and I've definitely learned that, you know? My relationship with me is solid, you know? When I tell myself I'm going to do something, I know that I'm going to do it. Or if I don't, I'm going to have a really good reason why not. I'm practicing to act like the person I want to be rather than hanging on to some despairing vision of who I was in the past, you know? I'm not attached to a story of who I was, because that story is not accurate anyway. Instead, I'm trying to be a little bit more like somebody that I could be proud of, that I would like. And that this process is a cultivation of that vision. It's a subversion of a prophecy of ruin. You know? And like, what do I mean by that, right? Like a prophecy of ruin. Well, I was an addict, man. I was a drunk and a junkie. I spent a lot of time unbuilding. I almost said destroying, but I'm not destroyed. I didn't destroy anything. I spent a lot of time taking myself apart with chemistry, you know? And all of that was because of trauma, right? Trauma in my childhood. Um, and the trauma I inflicted on myself, you know? A lot of it was rote. It feels less like something I did, even though I know beyond doubt it was something I did. And, and, and more like something that happened to me. And like over the last 500 days, I've started to put together a little theory that I'm haunted by these ideas of who I was. And I'm haunted by the things I've done in the past. But like, those are just pictures in my head. Those are just leftover thoughts and feelings from things that happened, yes, but they're not real today. They're no more real than any fantasy I might have of the future, or Lord of the Rings, or fucking Harry Potter, or anything like that. They create an emotional reaction, which then creates a cascade in me, often a cascade of negativity, you know, of rotten, foul things that reinforce the idea that I'm no good, you know, that I'm not worth it. I don't have to lecture you on what it's like to be bullied by your own negative self-talk and your own history. If you're an adult in the world, you know full well what that's like. Even the most happy, joyous, and free among us know what that's like. And that's not necessary, right? But the magical idea that I have is that, like, if that's just a picture in my head that's causing all this, that's making me run off the rails, what if I put another picture in my head? What if I put a picture in my head about the person I want to be rather than the person I was? And can't I then run on the emotional juice, that exclusive juice that comes from those pictures, that comes from the movies we play about ourselves in our own minds? And I gotta tell you, you absolutely can. You really truly can do that. It takes some practice, and it feels stupid at first. But it does work. 500 days. Like, I'm changing. It's getting better every day. A millimeter at a time. A slow and enduring thing. But also a nice thing, a comfortable thing, and a quiet thing. I'm down here by myself every day. I spend this time alone. And I've grown to like myself, to really like this person. I'm looking at myself right now, and I've been eating candy all weekend, and I look bloated, and my haircut looks stupid. And I can think all sorts of negative things about how I didn't squat very much, and how I didn't work out very hard today, and all of these things, they can totally go off the rails on me, you know? But that isn't how it is. Like, I like this guy. I really do. I think he's interesting. I think he's got weird ideas about things. And I like spending this time with him every day. I feel my day is worst for it when I don't get enough time with him. So that's what I've learned. It probably doesn't seem very coherent, but I learned to invest in this person. And yeah, he's my best friend. And that feels silly to say, but he really is. Right now I'm going to do a front squat with 135. My back's feeling a little tweaky and my ankle hurts. And I've been doing dumb stuff, just like always, but also good stuff. And I meant what I said earlier too. It's getting better all the time. And these little aches and pains, these little nicks and crannies that are going untreated and unnurtured, that's part of the taxes you pay for something like this. And I'm happy to pay it because I'm getting so much more out from these services. Anyway, happy day 500. This is Joe in real life. I love you guys. Be good to each other out there, okay? I'm gonna try hard to do the same. I gotta get to work. Tomorrow's day 501. But shoulder back to the wheel. I'll see you tomorrow.